Easter is a Sunday when we expect houses of worship to be filled to the brim. In the year 2020, the reality is starkly different and will be remembered as such historically. Old Testament scholar William Brown offers an imaginative perspective on our empty worship spaces. He compares these empty spaces to the empty tomb, and that maybe it's a helpful scenario to have empty churches. The empty tomb symbolized the risen Jesus, that the purposes for which Jesus came could not be contained by death or a sealed tomb. So perhaps this year, 2020, our churches are empty as a symbol of not containing the good news of Jesus in confined buildings, but that it is released into the world even amid our mandated isolation. Also, in the information I sent to you this week, or that I sent to those that were included in our worship service this morning, I included a chronological rendering of the days following Jesus' resurrection, including 12 different appearances that Jesus made to his disciples and to his brother James and to the women with whom he had a special relationship, and to others as well, many others as well. And my purpose for including that information was not in shaping any of our belief systems that the Gospels are historically accurate and can easily be followed chronologically, because that may not be the case. And even the author of this material throws in a question or two along the way in terms of how difficult it is to do this chronologically. But rather, what I had hoped to expose is the understanding of Jesus' appearance following his resurrection. And not even so much that Jesus appeared, but that the purpose for which he came could not be stymied. It couldn't be suppressed. That couldn't be kept quiet. And that he appears, or that he appeared, indicates, in my view, that his purposes lived on, and that this risen Jesus appeared in whatever form or imagination to a variety of people in ways that inspired them to continue moving forward this important Jesus purpose. I find it interesting the ways in which Jesus appeared. In some instances, he surprised those to whom he appeared. Mary, for one. She thought he was the gardener until he spoke her name. He magically appeared to the disciples at one point. They were in a locked room, and there he was. He shows his wounds to Thomas as a means of helping Thomas understand the continuance of this Jesus purpose. And he announces his appearance at other times. Tell the disciples that I'm coming to them. So he's announcing that he's going to be present. But perhaps it's all surprise, even when he announces his appearance. Really? Jesus, the one crucified, will be among us again? The surprise factor initiates a sit up and pay attention response. And not only that the surprise has captured attention, the surprise inspires continued efforts. I finished reading a book this week by Richard Horsley. It's entitled Jesus and Empire. I highly recommend it. But Horsley provides a balcony view of Jesus' purpose from a political perspective, not just the spiritual perspective that we often think about. And yes, Jesus came to love and to give sight to the blind and to visit the imprisoned and to set the oppressed free, those things that we read about and understand in Luke chapter 4. But why and from what? According to Horsley, Jesus offered an alternative to the Roman Empire of oppression and ways of doing this and ways of being in the midst of doing this. It's this revolutionary purpose that brought the Roman Empire to a place of silencing Jesus, killing him, burying him, shutting him up once and for all. And the Roman tactics of shutting someone up worked on Jesus, except that the Roman Empire didn't consider just how impactful the purpose of Jesus was, and that even after his death, he couldn't be quieted. There were those who came after him who confidently believed in him and his purpose, and having envisioned his presence in our spirit following the resurrection, they had this urgent drive to carry on. And then Horsley says this, perhaps the most remarkable evidence that the empire had not had the last word was that Jesus' followers expanded their movement among other subject peoples of the empire. They did this with astounding confidence and drive. astounding confidence and drive. I imagine the appearance of Jesus helped to instill that astounding confidence and drive. Those appearances gave them the confidence they needed to move on, gave them the drive they needed to move on. What about us? I believe Jesus continues to appear to us today, not physically appear, but in manners that inspire us. There are moments when Jesus appears to us in our filled worship spaces within the confinement of four walls, right? When we're together, able to meet in our buildings, able to meet in our places of worship. There we find Jesus and experience him. And Jesus, I believe, also appears to us in places and moments when we least expect it. At a cemetery, or in a meeting, or as we are driving from one place to another, or walking, or riding a bicycle, or whatever mode of transportation, whatever way that we are moving from one place to another, or maybe when we are reading a book, or watching a movie, taking a nap, those thoughts that come to us when we're sleeping, or feeding the birds, or walking through the woods, or planting the garden, or, well, you fill in the blank. Our buildings are empty today on Easter Sunday. Our places of worship are empty on Easter Sunday in 2020 this year. And we can lament that, and it's okay to lament that. But let's not get caught up in the lament. Let's not get stuck there. Instead, let's open our lives to the real possibility that the risen Jesus will meet us wherever we are, in whatever we are doing, in whatever emotional state we may be in, and in some way astound us with confidence and drive to continue his good purpose. Our work is not in finding alternative ways to promote life under the oppression of the Roman Empire. That empire is gone, but we have oppressive empires in our present day world. So what are those empires? And how do we define them collectively? And are the efforts of Jesus the same kinds of things that we can do in promoting life amid the present-day empires? May we allow the appearances of the resurrected Jesus in our lives today to direct and astound us.